His palms gripped my hips hard enough that I had to bite down on my lip to keep from making a sound. We were in the narrow hallway outside the guest room, the only light spilling in from the cracked bathroom door. I pressed my fingers flat against the wall, the cool paint grounding me while his chest pressed firm against my back. My breath fogged the space in front of me. The hum of the fridge downstairs sounded impossibly loud, like the whole house could hear it. His lips brushed the side of my neck, warm and intentional. My body trembled, every nerve roaring. And when he whispered my name, Janelle, it didn't sound like a question. It sounded like surrender. His hand slid beneath my shirt, grazing. Bare skin, and I shivered so hard I almost stepped away. Almost. Instead, I leaned back into him. His weight anchored me, desperate and strong. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was about to fall apart. It didn't feel like crossing a line. It felt like collapsing into something I hadn't let myself want. I'd been holding myself together for so long through the divorce, through the months of numbness that when he touched me, it was like I finally stopped holding my breath. He wasn't supposed to be this. He was supposed to be safe, familiar, off limits. I'm 38. I told myself I was healing. I told myself I'd never do this again. And then he came along, my best friend's younger brother, staying with me just for a few weeks while he got back. On his feet, he was kind in the ways that hurt to notice, asking how my day was, fixing the leaky faucet my ex had ignored for years, laughing with me in the kitchen late at night. He didn't look at me like I was broken. And God, I wanted that so badly I could barely stand it. What would you do if the only person who made you feel whole again was the one you should never have touched? His mouth trailed down my shoulder, and I turned to face him. His fingers cupped, my face rough and shaking, like he was afraid I'd disappear if he let go. You weren't supposed to mean anything. I whispered against his lips. He kissed me anyway, hard, clumsy, like we'd both been starving for this without saying it out loud. I clung to him, my hands digging into his shirt. The hallway felt too tight, too exposed, like someone could open a door at any moment and see everything. That fear only made it worse. My back hit the wall with a muted thud, and he pressed closer, breathing fast against my neck. He smelled like soap and sweat. Something warm I couldn't name flooded my head. This doesn't fix anything, I murmured, though I didn't push him away. I know, he said, his voice rough, but for a few hours, ... His forehead pressed against mine. I didn't hate myself. I didn't either. If you've ever reached for something knowing it could ruin you just because it made you feel alive, this story won't be easy. Like and subscribe. Some truths are too quiet to ignore. When it was over, we stayed there, forehead to forehead, breathing hard in the silence. Neither of us spoke. The sound of a floorboard creaking somewhere in the house snapped us apart. He glanced toward the darkened stairs, then back at me, his hand still at my waist. We shouldn't, I whispered. I know, Toby said again. But neither of us moved. The morning after felt unreal, like the air itself was thinner. I sat at the kitchen table in my robe, staring into my coffee while the clock ticked too loud on the wall. He walked in barefoot, hair damp from a shower, wearing a simple t-shirt that somehow made it worse. He didn't look at me at first, just poured himself a glass of water, leaned against the counter, and drank slowly like nothing had happened. I'd spent the past year rebuilding what was left of me after my divorce, 12 years wasted on a marriage that ended with a text I wasn't supposed to see. My husband telling someone else he loved them. After he left, I swore I'd focus on my self-therapy, yoga classes. I barely managed dinner alone at the table for one. I told everyone I was fine. I wasn't. Then Toby moved in. My best friend's younger brother. He lost his job, was between places, and she begged me to let him stay just for a little while. I didn't think twice. I'd known him for years, quiet kind, younger than me, but steady in ways I wasn't expecting. One evening, I was in the kitchen making dinner when he came in behind me. I heard him before I saw him, the floor creaking under his weight. He didn't touch me, but I could feel him there. His presence was heavy enough to make my hands shake as I chopped vegetables. "Smells good," he said softly, his voice low. "Thanks," I replied, barely audible. I could feel his gaze on me. When I turned slightly, his hand brushed my back as he reached for a glass from the cabinet. It was nothing. It was everything. We sat across from each other at dinner, the table too small, our knees almost touching. My fork scraped against the plate, and I thought I might lose my mind from the tension alone. He asked about my day. I asked about his job hunt. On the surface, it was normal, casual, polite, but under every glance was a question we were both too afraid to ask that later that night. I found him in the living room, sitting on the couch with the TV playing quietly. I hesitated in the doorway, unsure why I'd come down at all. "Can't sleep?" he asked, his eyes flicking up to meet mine. I shook my head. He patted the seat beside him. I sat. We didn't talk much, just watched some old movie neither of us cared about. Eventually, my shoulder brushed his arm. I didn't move. Neither did he. His warmth seeped through me, constant and grounding. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until I exhaled. "Does it feel wrong to you?" I asked suddenly, my voice barely above a whisper. He turned his head toward me, studying my face like he was deciding how honest to be. "It feels like something I can't stop thinking about," he admitted. His hand shifted slightly, close enough that our fingers almost touched. "Is that bad?" I didn't answer. Instead, I let my hand slide closer until our fingers brushed, tentative, deliberate. The smallest touch sent a shiver straight through me. We stayed like that, not quite holding hands, not quite pulling away. The glow of the TV lit his profile sharp and quiet, and I thought about how dangerous it felt to want this badly. The next day, it got worse. I was leaning over the stove when he came up behind me, reaching past for a spoon. His chest brushed my back, his breath warm near my ear. My grip tightened on the counter. He didn't move right away. Neither did I. In the hallway later, we almost collided, me coming out of my bedroom, him passing by. We froze, inches apart, and I could smell the faint scent of his cologne. He didn't step back. His gaze dropped to my mouth for just a second before he turned and walked away. My legs felt weak enough to give out. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and thought about every single near miss, every time we almost crossed that line again. And deep down, I knew it wasn't a matter of if. It was when it happened, on a night when the rain wouldn't stop. The house was quiet, too quiet, and I could hear the steady drip of water against the gutters outside. I was standing in the kitchen barefoot, still in the oversized t-shirt I slept in. The fridge hummed faintly. Then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate. He walked in, damp from the rain, hair sticking slightly to his forehead. He didn't say anything, just stood there in the doorway, watching me like he was deciding something. My hands tightened around the glass I was holding. "You're up late," I said, my voice thin. "So are you," he replied, stepping closer. His shirt clung to him, rain darkened, and I couldn't stop staring. I should have moved. Should have left the room. But I didn't. He reached me in 2 strides, his hand brushing mine where it rested on the counter. My breath hitched. We stood there inches apart, the clock on the wall ticking too loud, the smell of rain still clinging to him. "I can't keep pretending I don't want this," he murmured, his voice low, strained. His hand slid to my waist. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I grabbed the front of his wet shirt and pulled him toward me. His mouth crashed against mine, hard and desperate, and I felt myself melt into him instantly, his arms gripped my hips, guiding me back against the counter, the cold edge pressing into me as his body pressed in harder. The kiss deepened frantic, like neither of us cared about caution anymore. My fingers tangled in his damp hair, pulling him closer, and he groaned against my mouth. The weight of him was overwhelming in the best possible way, anchoring me when everything inside me felt unsteady. He lifted me effortlessly, setting me on the counter, my legs wrapped around him, instinctively pulling him in tight. His hands roamed up my sides under my shirt palms, warm against my skin. I gasped when his lips moved down my neck, each kiss more urgent than the last, and I clung to him like I'd been waiting years for this. The kitchen felt like the only place in the world. The rain beat against the windows, louder now, drowning out every thought except him. His breath was hot against my ear, ragged and uneven, matching my own. "This doesn't fix anything," I whispered, trembling, my voice breaking. "I don't care," he said, his words muffled against my shoulder. "Just don't stop." We didn't. Every sound was sharper, the faint hum of the fridge, the rain hammering the glass, the soft creak of the counter beneath us. My nails dug into his back. His hands held me like he couldn't bear to let go. It was raw, reckless, and terrifyingly human. Like we weren't two people making a mistake, but two people who couldn't survive without it. When it was over, he rested his forehead against mine, both of us still trembling, breathing loud in the quiet room. His thumb traced my cheek gently, grounding me in a way I didn't know I needed. "I don't regret it," he whispered. "I didn't either," I said. And that terrified me most of all. Would you like me to finish the very end when his sister arrives and things unravel? Or would you like the story to end here on an emotional high?